In this video, we're going to sort, classify, and tabulate qualitative data and discrete or continuous quantitative data, including using Venn diagrams. If you're revising, there's only one question here. Maybe if you want to try that question of Venn diagrams, pause the video, have a go. Okay, we're going to get stuck into the definitions, which you'll need to learn, and they'll help you understand statistics a lot better. First of all, we need to recognize that data can be either qualitative or quantitative. What does that mean? Qualitative data is data which has a certain quality. And so the clue is in the name. Quality, qualitative. And think about what a quality is if somebody has a quality. It's something that cannot be measured, like colour, type of plant, opinions such as good or bad, or i.e. something that isn't a number, mostly. What's quantitative data? It's data which can be described as a quantity or as a number. Again, the clue is in the name. So we've got quantitative is representing a quantity. So i.e. a number such as number of cars, your height's a number, your age is a number. If data is quantitative, it's a number, and that number could either be discrete or continuous. So if it's qualitative, it's qualitative. If it's quantitative, then it could be one of these two things as well. These are subsets of being quantitative. So it could be quantitative and discrete. If it's discrete data, it can only take certain values in a given range. So number of cars, number of pages in a book, your shoe size, they can only take certain values. Don't necessarily have to be whole numbers, like your shoe size could be half sizes, but you wouldn't get a shoe size of 6.247, for example. Take certain values in a range. You then could have quantitative data that is continuous, and that continuous data can take any value in a given range. Something that you sort of can measure, like the length of a pencil, temperature, time taken to run a race, where, for example, time taken could be 2.7538. It can be any number within a range, not just 2 or 3. Okay, let's now look at sorting data into tables. And sorting data into tables depends on the type of data you've got. And I've got two tables here, and they could be appropriate or inappropriate depending on the data. So reading from here, when putting raw data into tables, we often group the data to make it easier to work with. If the data is discrete, e.g. test scores, we could use the table on the right. And generally discrete data is very easy to put into table form. But if, however, the data is continuous, remember that could be any value in a range. So for example, time taken to complete a test, then values like 50.6 or 70.9, you could have those values for your time taken to complete a test. And they would have no group here that they could go into. 50.6 lies in between, and 70.9 lies in between. So the table on the right here is required. Now, this is not a problem for discrete data like test scores, as you only have whole numbers. So if it's discrete, go with the easier one. If it's continuous, you're going to have to use a more complicated one, where you've got 40, anything bigger than 40, up to and including 50. And the next group is anything bigger than 50 up to and including 60, and so on. So 50.6 would go in here, and 70.9 would go in here. So that is the types of data we have, and also then how we would construct tables to enter the data. We'll now look at Venn diagrams. So in question 1 here, we have 32 students. Each took a test in maths, in English, and in French. They did all 3. 25 students passed the test in maths, 20 students passed the test in English, 14 students passed the test in French. Now, I'll keep going in a minute, but it says display this information in a Venn diagram. Let's have a look at the Venn diagram. That first circle there, I'm going to call that M for maths. Now it says that there were 25 students who passed the test in maths. Now 25, you just think put 25 in the maths circle. However, the circle is broken up into 4 different sections, and actually the 25 represents the full circle. So the 25 cannot go in because, for example, this section means maths on its own because there's no other circles overlap with it. Let's call this one English. And then we can see now that the maths overlaps with the English. So this middle bit here, there's still 2 sections in the maths, but that's maths and English all together. And the bottom one we'll call, I think it was French. Okay, so let's go back. The 25 is the full circle. 20 would be the full circle for English. 14 is the full circle for French. We can't enter any of those yet. Now it gives us some more information about 2 bits. 18 students passed the test in maths and English. Maths and English is this whole overlap here. That's maths and English. But that bit is made of 2 sections. Maths and English without French, because French is not in that circle. Maths, English and French. So again, we can't use that bit of information because it's got 2 groups in it. To a subset. And equally here we've got 11 students passed maths and French. That's going to be 2 bits. 2 students passed the test in English and French only, and 7 students passed all 3 tests. Quite often, not always, working backwards is how we would approach this question. We know that 7 students passed all 3, and all 3 is the middle. 2 students passed the tests in English and French only. So they're not allowed to be in the maths one. They didn't pass maths. So English and French is here. 2 students passed English and French only, which means they didn't pass the maths, so they're over here. Next section. 11 students passed the tests in maths and French. So maths and French is here. Now it didn't say maths and French only, it says maths and French. So they could have passed maths and French with English or not with English. That means in total this group here has to be 11. So we have to put 4 in here to make that there are 11 in total that have passed maths and French. They're at both the circles, maths and French. 18 students passed the tests in maths and English. Maths and English is here. That whole bit needs to be 18. We've already got 7 in there, which means there must be 11 on the top bit. Then 14 students passed French. Well, all the people in here passed French in this circle. 4 and 7 is 11, plus 2 is 13. We know there should be 14, so there must be 1. 20 students passed English. This whole circle has to be 20. 11 plus 7 is 18, plus 2 is 20, which means we've got 0 in there. And 25 students passed the maths. This has to be 25. We've got 4 and 7 is 11, plus another 11 is 22, so we need another 3 to make 25. Now we're not finished, don't be rushing on, especially in exam. Think, have you answered everything? Have you used all the information? We haven't used the top number 32. So how is that relevant? Well, we know there's 32 people should be in this diagram because 32 people took the test in maths, English and French. How many do we have in our diagram? We've got 3 and 11 is 14, plus 7 is 21, another 4 is 25, 26, 27, 28. We've got 28. There should be 32 in the diagram, so there's 4 people left over. 4 people, they aren't in the circles, they're outside. And that means the four people are people who didn't pass English, didn't pass maths, didn't pass French, so they can't go in any of those circles. But we need to have 32 overall. So that's where the 4 people come from, the 4 people who have failed all 3. The question then asks what fraction of students failed all 3. That's the 4 out of the total number of students, 32. And simplify that gives us 1 out of 8, 1/8.